This is AtlasThugged. As much as we have, it's currently a media blackout right now. It's about a 10-minute video here. Get the libertarians out of this party, dude. Part of a new series I'm going to be running called Bot or Not.
I grew up as a white man, and you're the exact opposite, you know?
It's time we have a difficult conversation about race. 40 IQ points it needs to think about what is being told to you. Most people are just blatantly apathetic to what goes on around in their surroundings, let alone this blatant. A trans woman's penis make you gay?
Tried to find an answer to that comment.
The dating market is for men your age. I'm not a misogynist, I'm a sexist. Right, like for example, like as a white man, I can go out and I could go right here in Columbus and scream the N-word as loud as I wanted to because I have that privilege. Those who would sacrifice a little freedom for a little convenience serves neither.
Titan says, Browns should be for whites. We were just trying to help them run a better empire.
Hey, truth.
But she's straight up, she's like, stock market. She's like, bro, like, I can't even buy a fucking house. Like,
and probably doesn't help that half the comments are, how are you not banned on YouTube? Man, how is this guy? How's this guy not banned on YouTube? It's like, yeah, I'm sure YouTube probably picks up on those things. And they're probably wondering why so many people are saying that,
and all these top brass pundits who have some kind of association or relationship with Epstein, it's getting to the point where you got to think like I'm about to go look at my residential history and be like, did I live next to Epstein for like some time? Like, man, everyone on this planet must have some relation to Epstein. And then you go, oh, actually, no. This is because the administration is all wrapped in together with it themselves.
And I said this maybe about a year ago. What if Christianity wasn't in such a cucked position that what if Andrew Tate, like Tristan, would have went to a Christian position? Fell for it again award, #1 right here. And you know what? I can't even make fun of the audience because I fell for it too. And that's probably what I'm most pissed about. He's huffing some extreme copium. Oh yeah, sister, you definitely owned him. Hey, can I see you after tonight? It's like that's what you're competing up against. Because or bad jacketing him and calling him a weird little gay.
Is this like alt-right Wolf's husband? What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. This guy's gonna get into statistics, stuff like that.
Oh, no, statistics. Not we don't do statistics.
Well, hello and welcome in, everybody. Sorry for the slightly odd setup that you're seeing here. We're working on getting some technical issues solved in the background. I am waiting for my guests to join to get their microphone situation figured out. And as soon as we hear them on our end, we will get this show started. So apologize for the technical difficulties. But I do appreciate everybody being here. Happy to see everybody. And I am very glad that you guys liked and appreciated the new intro. Had to get the old one changed and fixed over because it got copywritten. So I have been waking up every day to a brand new copyright strike because I have hundreds of episodes with that song in it, but it was copyright free for almost like 2 years. Somebody ended up buying the rights to it, so I ended up getting a new intro. That's why I had the AI one as a stand-in one. Seems a lot of people didn't like that, so we moved to a different one, and hopefully this one will be here to stay. So glad you guys enjoyed it. Waiting again for them to get set up. You can probably see them on screen as well, talking to each other, hashing it out. So once we get them in here, we will get started. So I'll go ahead and riff for a little bit while we're waiting for them. One of the things that I wanted to dive into with them, kind of as a tell, kind of give a giveaway, if that. One of the people I would like to reach out to here soon is actually goes by the name Michael Spangler. Now he's in this element alongside Stone Choir, alongside Joel Webbin, alongside a lot of these Christian pundits that are being a lot more based and a lot more traditional and a lot closer to the entire history and historical thought of Christianity versus what we have nowadays. That is somebody I would like to interview coming up because there is some beef inside of that industry. If anyone has followed along with it, most people would know that Stone Choir and Joel Webbin do not get along. I am not as familiar, however, with Michael Spangler, so that is something I would like to get a little involved in. And understanding him, and who better to know about him from than OTO, Outside the Overton. They did end up doing a interview with him, but I believe it might have just been Zeb who was a part of that interview, but that is something I would like to do. Get a hold of Michael Spangler and explore that angle a little bit. Now, I would also like to say, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe if you've not already, and if you're also not subscribed, make sure you reach out to Zeb and Josh VanDerNoord, both of them. Make sure you definitely subscribe to both of them. Zeb Boykin, I believe, is their main channel, but Josh also has his as well. You can find those links in the description, as well as links to both of their X accounts as well, too. And then we kind of got that out of the way. I kind of guess I'll go over some of the topics. I'll keep an eye on my phone, actually, to make sure OTO is doing okay. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, too, beyond where we're at, was also going a little bit more into detail with the Tucker and Nick fallout. Looks like they joined again. We still don't have any audio. It's okay. We'll get it. We'll get it at some point. We're figuring it out. And the crazy part is we had it until I needed them to turn it down a little bit, and then we lost it completely. So that's the current situation that they're in. They can hear me. They can probably see the chat and everything. So make sure you guys still show them some love. We just can't hear them. So I'll give a rundown on a couple of the things that I wanted to talk about. Maybe we can explore one of the smaller ones while we're waiting. The Tucker and the Nick fallout. There's a couple smaller angles I'd like to get into that. Obviously, it's like the biggest story in all of politics right now. Michael Spangler, but I already addressed that. We had the FEMA aid, and it's also nice to see you, Marcus. Glad to see you here, brother. We have the situation with the FEMA aid and the pro-Israel sentiment needing that. Appreciate that. Punished man. Let me go ahead and click on that if I can find the chat. Thank you very much for that, brother. In the sundown town to pray for him. Make sure you reach out to Punish Math. Make sure he gets indoors before the sun goes down. We also had a crazy instance of Mr. Big Balls himself, the employee from the Doge department who had a funny name and did a lot of work there for Elon, working to cut a lot of the bloat that they had, ultimately panned out to be nothing. Big Balls got beaten because he wanted to help defend a woman against a pack of blacks. No joke, that is the story. And then probably, maybe if anyone's been on X in the last 24 or 48 hours, you've probably seen the Sarah Stock controversy. She posted a photo of her hand just showing off the ring, and it ignited an all-out e-girl war. That was one of the funniest things I think I have seen in a while, at least not since Calendargate. Now, Calendargate was just kind of irritating, to be quite honest with you. But, it had some true kind of points to get into. The Sarah Stock thing is a bit more visceral, a bit more vulgar. And it's specifically with Emily Saves America, Morgan Ariel, I think is her name, Sarah Stock, Pearl Davis, and I'm probably forgetting a few of these other, these hoard out right-wing e-girls. And, I'll reserve my thoughts on Sarah Stock. I'll wait till OTO can get on here. But the visceral reaction to her getting married is not what you would expect from a conglomerate of girls who are supposedly right-wing. We didn't get that at all.
It's like,
there we go.
You can hear us now?
Oh my gosh, man.
And we sound
I'm not Nick, dude. I can't riff like this.
Okay, yeah. We literally all we had to do, we not only had to refresh the page, we had to reset the entire window. We had to close out the Safari tab and
Are you
and
serious?
that fixed it. So
well, I know you're having issues with YouTube earlier. Wait, well, listen, I already held the floor down. Without further ado, this is Outside the Overton. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Well, Zeb's got himself a little Mexican meal over there, so I'll get us started, I guess. I'm Joshua VanDerNoord. I'm the co-host of Outside the Overton with Zeb Boykin. We appreciate you guys having us back. We did another collaboration with Atlas. What was it, Saturday before last? And
week and a half ago?
Yeah, week and a half ago. It was super fun. And you've been engaging in our chat a lot and bringing followers our way and vice versa. It's been a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah,
and
no,
we almost got you on terrestrial radio. We were so close.
That's what it's called, brother. Okay, I couldn't remember it, and I swear you said torrential or something along those lines. So I was looking for it last night, and I was like, I give up. I have the wrong name. That's not the right one.
Yeah, it's because satellite FM, that's called satellite radio. So terrestrial is all radio towers and stuff.
Interesting. That's awesome. Yeah. See, Josh is trying to push some corporate content, so definitely give a shout out to Josh and support him in that endeavor. He's in the boomer market trying to make it work. And then we have Zeb.
I'm trying to make it, man. Trying to make it. I'm trying to teach, guys. It's classroom here. We're trying to teach everybody. I had a lot of good feedback on the last video, so hopefully I can get on up to Atlas's level of engagement.
Yeah, I'm hoping
10K. So,
well, I'm gonna need a home when I get banned eventually. So I'm gonna need somewhere I can go and do some occasional appearances.
I have a RV that has it's got a king bed and it's got 2 pull-out beds, and so Josh will take up one and then you can have the other. Come on.
That's perfect. It sounds like what is his name, Luke Rudkowski in the van.
Is that what he does?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, listen, there's a bunch of things that we can get into. I think probably we'll start with obviously I think the biggest of them all, and you've spent a lot of time, partly, you covered the then and now of Tucker Carlson. And I think the thing that sticks out to most people with the response or the lack of response we have not gotten from Tucker Carlson so far is when people have begun comparing it to his September 1999 attack of Pat Buchanan, which if you go almost line by line, the wording is identical. And you did a great job highlighting that. That was a phenomenal video.
I stole a lot of that stuff, obviously, but
right.
That's how this goes. I mean, we thieve off of each other.
This side by side thing, I thought you edited.
No,
and
I didn't.
That's why when we were reviewing it, I was like,
I pulled that from Kaiser.
Dude. Yeah, well, then really? I saw it later, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, still good,
Right. No, good content. When I'd seen it, I thought the same thing as you did, and then I watched the Nick the episode later that night, and I saw it again, and I was like, oh, somebody else did that.
yeah, somebody else did it. I mean, I'll take credit for it though.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, I got to be honest. I took a bit of your inspiration from your intro. I didn't make mine as long, but I was like, I like that style. I couldn't do the.
I saw that, dude. It looks good, man.
You liked it? Good. Well, I was like, I was hoping you would watch it since you weren't going to join the show. But I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
I said you did yours a little bit better. I
appreciate it. I'm still an amateur at this editing stuff. But I wanted to know though, where are you guys at with Tucker? right? Where are we even gonna get a response, do you think?
Oh, absolutely not. That the response is going to be Nick is going to get into a car wreck. He's going to get a bad batch from a McDonald's or something. And it's evident by the fact that Tucker already has not responded. And I know you've been watching Atlas, that Nick has basically said, he goes, I'm getting a little nervous because we're kind of reaching a point of critical mass, and this is a tale as old as time. I said this on our show earlier, when a up and coming journalist starts to expose the Israel lobby, eventually they stop being a journalist.
Yeah.
Leave that up to your own interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually how it goes. Like you alluded to a second ago. I mean, Pat Buchanan, they send everything they can at him. In Pat Buchanan's day, he didn't have the decentralization that we have today. And so they were able to, kneecap him essentially. And, that comes from people like Barry Goldwater, which is, Goldwater, typical Jewish name. Barry Goldwater was a conservative. Anytime you hear a Goldwater conservative, that's what they're in reference to. Barry Goldwater was pro pornography, pro prostitution,
all isms.
Typical, right? And then it was just a usurpation, right? This is where you get like I would even say some of the Buckley type people, but that's a little iffy to say nowadays, or at least currently. Give it a few months and we'll see where we're at.
Right. Yeah, especially given the current climate. Well, that was one of my actual first thoughts, and I'm pretty sure I actually might have broached it to you guys on that first show we did together, which was when I started seeing, like, it's clear there's a recession in censorship right now. Obviously, my channel's indicative of that. And one of the thoughts I had going through my head was like, they might be ready to do something to him. You're right. I think I'd phrase it of like, what happens right now if Nick Fuentes disappears from the movement entirely? I mean, we get fractured. We would lose the kind of clear kind of lead candidate who's driving a lot of this force. And that's kind of given me a bit more fear as when I'm thinking along the lines of, they very well might do it. He might get into a car that all of a sudden went 160 miles an hour down a half-mile street. And that could very well be what we get. And what do you do with that? No one's going to care.
Well, yeah. And here's my thing is I think we were talking about this on our show where Tucker addressing Nick was a boo-boo. Like, this idea that every move that they make is so carefully coordinated. I think Tucker has an ego. I think Candace has an ego. I don't think their handlers have full and absolute control over them. And I think this was a misstep by either them or their handlers. And now they're scrambling to figure out what to do. So I would say what the smart thing for Nick to do would actually be to double down, to keep, and he said he's doing that. He's doing a special stream on Friday to essentially continue to expose this long lineage of Tucker Carlson's in the conservative movement, which is great. But at the same time, they might get desperate. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu, they're clearly the annexation of Gaza is not popular, but they're at a focal point where they're just like, we just got to do it. You know what? Screw it. I'm sick and waiting. We got to do it. And they might just be desperate and kill him anyway, no matter the look.
I mean, right. And, when I kind of think about it, it's funny, the American government's plotting regime change in America first. It kind of fits the bill for it. One of the things that you had said though in the green room that I wanted to explore a bit, because one of the things that you guys disagree about a lot is your positioning on Nick. And I know Zeb is a bit more negative on him than where me and you are at. And I'm kind of curious, does that have any effect on this kind of current story, or where are you at with Nick, and what is those kind of differences?
Well, I mean, you can't deny that Nick is right a lot, like an unnecessarily amount of times. And especially when it's on hard topics like this. And so it is what it is. I mean, I disagree with him specifically on the religious side and whatever comes downstream from that. And Nick's been kind of vocal about being, a little weak on theology is fine, and I'm very anti-papist. And so we're necessarily going to butt heads there. And so When I look at this movement, I would like it to not be necessarily a Catholic movement, and Nick would say otherwise. I don't think the Catholicism and nationalism are coherent ideologies. Like, you can't be both. You're either a bad Catholic or a bad nationalist, and if you're going to hold both of those positions, because Catholicism is necessarily a universalist Catholic universalist religion,
Right.
and but that, I mean, that's not to say that you can't have a nationalist Catholic. That's just saying that they're bad Catholics or bad nationalists.
Right.
You know, that's a lot of where mine stems from, along with more of an action-based standpoint. You know, I would like to do a lot more IRL than what Nick would probably advocate for. And Josh is partially right on that. I mean, it needs to be good optics, and it needs to be not, I don't know.
So you want to Fed post a bit more. It's kind of like what I'm getting.
IRL Fed post.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
it was like I told those guys on stream today. I said everybody's a Fed except me. So, you know, take what you will. Atlas is a Fed. Josh is a Fed. We're all Feds except
no,
me.
I don't. I'm already getting those because I have 10,000 shows on YouTube. I'm controlled opposition already, which I thought was wild, you know. And that's part of what the issue is on two fronts. The Fed part, which is like the moment you go to collectivize or do anything actionable, people look at you with the side eye. They're like, this guy likes wearing khakis on Sunday, man. Like, you know, like they can't get near you because you start glowing. But the other one is the angle I'm a bit more intrigued by, which is there is clear, strong contention between a lot of the leaders at the top of these movements, right? You look at like Stonechoir, for example, would fall into the same area where you're at, where they would probably push it a bit more, where they would say Nick's a full-on Fed. Like, they don't think he's a organic asset at all. But also because
I don't think they would say he's a Fed, but they strongly disagree with him on a significant amount. I mean, notably, right. Corey came out, I believe it might have been earlier today or late last night, talking about, I think it was posted in our group chat about Nick being an elitist, and Nick does have an elitist mindset, and I do hold that against him. Just like he probably wouldn't platform me, and we've kind of talked about this before, but not necessarily going into this kind of depth. Is he probably wouldn't platform me because of my accent, which is, I mean, I guess I understand, but the issue is what comes downstream from that, and he probably wouldn't platform Josh because of his appearance. But this is just the nature of Nick, and to deny that Nick has a special ability with verbiage and to get a point across in storytelling is delusional. Like, you can't deny that, and to deny that he is at the top of this movement, if you will, because when we first started this, we had a guy named Rodney on, older gentleman, very, very open-minded. He's come a long way since then, but he kind of posed this question: what is this movement? And we've kind of been running with that as we've gone. And I've basically come to the point where this movement is this movement. Like I think that's as far as we can go right now without some actual coordination and organization, which I advocate for.
Yeah.
Gosh. And so all that being said is we kind of butt heads last time we were on the show where we were talking about Nick could make armies, right? He's general makers, and if he wants to, but I don't think he wants to is the issue. And so this is kind of what we were leaning into a second ago, where, okay, what if they off Nick? What happens then? Right. We're left, let's say, alone. We're like, we're sitting at almost 2K. You're sitting at 10K when we could be at 100. You know what I mean? And so
that was actually
Nick needs to ask himself is he willing to sacrifice a couple hours of watch time or whatever his metric is that he's looking at, or maybe the possibility of somebody not being perfect for the greater good of moving this needle forward, right? What has brought us here is decentralization, and what is going to move us forward is not necessarily decentralization, but in some form with a backing.
Right. And, you know, I think that is like a good point that you bring up about the general maker, because it's true. And you think about like how many other guys, and, you know, and don't include me or you, but you think of some of these bigger guys, like, what's his name? Like the Kai guy who was just, he's like a part of Rift TV, I believe now. You also have
I throw
Doomer
Michael
Nat.
Spangler in there.
What's that?
I throw Michael Spangler, Stephen Wolf, Joel Webben, those types.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I don't
right.
agree with them, but they would fall under there.
No, exactly. And maybe you're right on the fact that maybe it is an ego thing, right? Maybe it's pure star power, wanting to maintain and be the top dog no matter what. Which I think even if he did start making generals, like no one's going to take that crown from him now. I mean, like there's no way. Like no one's going to catch up to him at this point. But also at the same time, I also think along the lines of people like Myron Gaines and Zerka and Sneeko. Now, Sneeko ultimately could have been a general, but I think his cowardness and timidness just basically kind of dropped him away, and wanted to have his YouTube channel and showing constantly didn't want to make certain risks. And then he became Muslim. And then, it's like, is it worth the time investment, I guess? And then when you listen to him talk a little bit, when he was talking with about his getting ready to do the stream on Friday, he was talking about how he put together the original one, the rant we were in the flame on taking out Tucker. And what he ended up saying, one of the first things he ends up saying is, I assigned my team to grab some things for me and do some research. So that makes me think that he's probably got a lot of people that maybe don't want to be in the appearance, in the scene, in the public purview, but are willing to help him all the same. So he might feel like he has all the support he needs. So he just doesn't even really see a need for that, I guess, would be maybe my defense of that.
Yeah. So I kind of posed this to Josh the other day, because I've been sitting on it for a little while, just observing, right? I don't watch Nick all the time, but I've watched a couple of his recent debates, especially with Dinesh D'Souza. I was like, this guy, he's obviously, nobody's denying he's smart. Nobody's denying that he has high verbal IQ. What I'm saying is that he has information that he's not supposed to have. And so that's what I got from a lot of these interviews. And I'm not saying he's a fed, but what I am saying is he has access to things he ought not have access to. And then Josh responded. I mean, you can go ahead and fill in that response there. And I believe we're on the same page with it. We just got to it from a different angle.
Well, my bad. Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say to kind of answer both your points. I mean, we talked about this last time, talking about how to organize and Zeb's kind of disagreement with Nick Fuentes on how we organize. From what, as a fan of Nick Fuentes, I have missed barely a show in 7-8 years. He clearly, I've seen enough to know he hints at infiltration. I think he does have a network, but what he does, I would argue, and I could be wrong. I mean, Zeb could be right. It could be fed, whatever. But I would argue for the sake of argument, what he's working on is a very calculated movement. It's extremely organized. And right now, for that to be out in the open, for basically someone who's already in the Trump administration, for someone who's already in with their local GOP, for them to put on their social media, hey, I'm a groyper, well, then they're gone. They're done. But they are in communication with him. So I would just use that to say that I think when it comes to Nick having access to information that he shouldn't have, that definitely, I get the suspicion. I'm not an idiot here, but I am playing Nick's advocate, which is I would argue that he's hinted at having this vast network, and the information that he claims to have access to, like the situation that Zeb is specifically bringing up, to me at least, and he says it was case by case, but it was the Dick Carlson stuff. It was Tucker Carlson. And that was just, Zeb told me later that was his excuse to kind of say that. That wasn't necessarily the evidence you use.
Yeah.
But for example,
a lot of the stuff in the Dinesh debate was very questionable in how he acquired that information. It's not readily accessible information. And it was so not accessible that Dinesh wasn't even aware of a lot of it.
I agree, but to me, it's a point of you have to weigh the options. And I still think it's you're in the realm of possibility. Any minor piece of information he might be getting from an insider. Yeah,
that's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just in more words.
No, I get that. My response back to that would be, I can see what you're saying. I definitely do. And I think this last comment was one of the good ones, right? It was the one from Evan, right? When he's calling JD Vance well ahead of time. But part of me also thinks on two ends. One, you probably do this for so long and he's on a level where he's obsessed with it. You probably do get a level of like, you know where to look, you know who to listen to, you know who to not listen to. And so maybe there's a level of like, you just get trained into it when you're doing it every day, day in and day out. The second thing, because what I said earlier, when he prepared to take down Tucker with the first speech, he mentions in the next show after, I believe after the weekend on Monday, he mentioned how he sent out some things to his people to look up to help him because he needed help because he was on a short turnaround. So I think he's already admitted that he's got people. Another question would be, are they just people he's paying that just work, or are they actually people who are literally like inside? Yeah.
So I mean, here's the play I would make. I mean, if I'm a betting man, here's my read on it is that Nick is so large that he has people just sending him shit.
Yeah.
However they send him is whatever. I'm sure they verify through that their credibility of FBI, CIA, inside the Trump administration, whatever they want to through some type of email. I'm just saying this because this is how I would work it if I was in his position. He has millions of followers, right? I mean, he has probably a couple 100,000 daily listeners, right? These aren't small numbers. They're nowhere close to small. Right. And so once you get that large, right, this is the snowball. Once you hit 10, 15,000, then you're just going to snowball to 50, 100, as long as you're producing content because people want to be in the know. And Nick is just at the top of that pyramid of wanting to be in the know, or people wanting to know what's going on with Nick. So when they say, no shade to you, it's like I can get Nick content through Atlas's channel 2 days later, or I can just watch Nick. You see what I'm saying? And so that snowball effect just happens. Now, I love your content. I think you do a fantastic job. You add to it, which
you don't have to
is beneficial. And so when that happens, it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. And now it's not just the people that want to get the Nick content. It's the people that want to get dirt on Nick. And then that amplifies. And you have people like Media Matters, and you have these other organizations pushing Nick, whether they want to or not. It's going to get more coverage. And so Nick's not going anywhere unless he goes somewhere, right? And all that to be said is, if you're someone like me, right? I tried to get into the marshals, didn't happen. Let's say I'm a quasi groyper, or at least I believe in what Nick does. I get some heads up on something going on that maybe he could benefit from knowing. Hey Nick, this is going on. Just shoot it to him. Here's my credentials. Trust me.
Right. Well, that's part of it. Who else would you send it to? Who else? Who else?
Right.
At least for me, right? I'm trying to think. Like, imagine if I was in that position. Say I ended up, not at the FBI or CIA, but say I ended up on some committee somewhere, and I come across this, and I'm like, I have to tell somebody. And, like you said, from a quasi groyper, the first person that comes to mind to try to reach out to send it to is Nick. Or at least if not him, I'm probably going to group message like Myron and everyone else, Ryan Dawson, Anomaly. I'm going to be just to whoever I can trust. And then also is another thing too, which is there's so little trust in a lot of these guys. I mean, we're getting so many pot shots between each other. And one thing too that's been cool is Alex Jones, I think, is slowly walking over to the Nick camp. I think he's slowly willing to shed his mega base, because I think he's a guy who has to follow his gut instinct. And I think
they don't have a choice, man. They don't have a choice. Just like we can't let go of talking about Nick right now, even if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. You don't have a choice. Alex Jones doesn't have a choice. He loses his entire audience that he's built over 3 decades, right? He loses that because there is no more Maga. Right. Trump has killed that. The Israel has killed it. It doesn't exist anymore. And so where do you go?
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? And that's the thing as well. I'm trying to also have forward vision as well, because it's hard to think that MAGA is going to retain the same level of big tent power it had coming into this election. So I do think there's a level that JD Vance is actually like, he might have to actually compete. I think Trump really didn't have to play ball this time around, ultimately fighting off the court cases, but that golden kind of campaign there at the end kind of really saved him.
I will warn you though, Atlas, I do not underestimate the boomer. I mean, the traditional conservatard has always existed. They were Reaganites. They were for Bush. They're for whatever is put in front of them by TV man, as Zeb's dad says. And basically,
black-pilled.
yeah. And I hate to say it, but it's like, we are early on in the 4 years, and I think that Trump and MAGA, they're clearly making mistakes, but like, they have 3.5 years to smooth it over. And I mean, look what 8 years did to Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio was a never Trumper, and now he's slated to be JD Vance's VP. What happened there?
I know.
Everyone just forgot.
And he has the same donor from somebody else who's in the office right now. I mean, it's just, you're right. It is a level of joke, but I think the more that we kind of harp on that, the more that I think that is the most blackpilling thing about politics, which is that people are retarded. Yes. Like that by far outshines everything else, is that no matter what and how intelligent you want to be, everything matters and hinges upon the lowest common denominator, the lowest hanging fruit and the weakest link in the chain. And that's why you do have cat turds who have what does he have? 2 million followers? And the guy types about how he wants to get into bar fights and you ain't MAGA if you ain't him. And he's like this weird elitist wearing a cowboy hat. I mean, but I guess the more
how did he end up on Tucker?
What's
Tucker
that?
had him on really early on.
Cat turd?
Yep.
I did not.
He was on Tucker?
Yep. He was on Tucker Carlson show really early on after Tucker got fired.
You know what? I think you're actually spot on.
Big, he probably weighs like 280, 290, kind of short, probably 5'8", cowboy hat, denim, leather jacket.
Damn.
Dude, that's so cringe.
White goatee, typical cat turd-esque boomer.
He looks like, give him a taller hat. It's like Mr. Dale Dimmadome, right? I think from Fairy Godparents. He could probably pull that off. But Tucker's had him a bunch of cowboy hats on. He's got that wooden man cave. Oh, that's who I wanted to talk to you about.
I'm just a rootinest, tootinest conservative, just like I'm a everyman, man. I'm a man's man.
Yeah, right. Everyone can relate. It was Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan is somebody who a lot of people that I know, there's a couple of my really close friends, they love Sean Ryan's podcast. But just like you and I know, he's an asset. You never stop being an asset, and it's hard to separate that. But you highlighted the moment
that Fed except me.
Right. you highlighted the moment though that was, I think, spot on, which was, what was that, in 2019? When Sean Ryan let it slip, or was that closer earlier last year?
I think it was
it wasn't 2019.
No, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 23, I think.
It was after he got fired. It was after Tucker got fired.
Okay. He got fired in April of last year. Has it been since he got fired?
How long has he been working in that studio? That home
Not
studio?
Long.
It maybe barely
more than 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That was definitely a slip up there. I don't know why they kept it in. That was Tucker's interview, but I don't know. I think they're arrogant too. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to splice together interviews to where it makes sense. And so they probably just left it in and was like, they'll overlook it.
It's true.
But I would like to note for the viewers real quick before we move on to something else. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Nick hater. I like to question things and I come to conclusions. Dude, I was watching Nick before y'all were, so.
I'm the newest one here, man. I fell for all the same BS. If anything, I am probably the newest by far compared to you guys, even the newest in the space. And I mean, for me, I had a very hard kind of, changing of the guard or changing of purview for myself. But 2.5 years ago, like I wasn't watching Nick, I was watching Tim Pool, and like, imagine like where I'm at now and how far that slides. I mean, ultimately, I think people will see that and they'll go like, wow, yeah, how can you be credible?
Straight up, Commie Pool to Nick Fuentes is a hard turn.
Well, listen, Tim Pool pissing me off is the reason why I started my YouTube channel in the first place.
Really?
Yeah. Because he lied about the Elijah.
Yeah, what happened?
What was the fallout with him?
Well, he lied about the
beanie
Elijah
fall off?
Blue situation.
He took his beanie off the other day.
I saw it on Matan.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
my
Matan
God,
is hilarious.
Dude, I think he's trying to lean into like a bit more self-deprecating angle because he's probably got some PR people around him that's like, dude, you come off as a jerk off. Like, dude, no one likes you.
Yeah, but here's what you have to understand. These people will still do the Matan interview. If there's a camera and there's people on the other side of the camera, these people will get in front of it. It doesn't matter what's going to happen on the other side of that camera, right? Was it Myron where they brought out the water guns? They brought out water guns on somebody, started shooting them with a water gun. Yeah, it was Myron and Fresh were on there, and him and like 3 other dudes brought out water guns. They were just shooting them with water guns mid interview.
Really?
Yeah, dude. That one went a little bit far, but
you
that's Matan.
Would
Well,
you
imagine just someone pulling something on you in the interview.
I start throwing tables.
Yeah, I would just run.
checking for people under?
I mean, Myron's somebody that I like a lot. And I think ultimately would probably, I mean, if I had a number 2 in terms of reach and it's in the space, he probably would be the next go-to, if Nick stopped streaming today. I think a lot of people would ultimately probably end up falling into Myron's camp. But, Myron, I think
you'd probably get like an Andrew Wilson come up.
Well, that too. And that's where I would go. I probably wouldn't fall into the Myron Gaines camp.
Let me insight you maybe a little bit more than maybe I should, but there's a very tangible similarity across audience from a single person, right? So if you go to a Myron Gaines event, which I think there's one at USC here in August that we're probably going to go to.
Yeah.
There's a Charlie Kirk event that we're going to go to, I believe on the 21st.
You're going to see if the gums are real.
I'm going to try to get him on immigration, but there's a Penn State. There's going to be Tim Pool, Alex Stein. I've been to Destiny Doyle, Owen Schroyer event. All these guys have an audience, and their audience all looks the same. Not across each individual, but like Owen Schroyer has a specific audience. You look at them, you're like, oh, okay, they're here for Owen.
Yeah.
Right. You go to a Myron event, you're like, oh, they're here for Myron. Right. You can see it, and it's very odd. And so I'm not saying I opened up my Zoom calls on stream to kind of gauge the audience, but
had to start weeding them out. I need to see the back of hand.
Not weed them out, just to get a gauge of who I'm attracting, right? So if I'm trying to feed an audience information, live streams, I would like to know who's on the other side of the stream so that, we can have an idea of what kind of rhetoric, how far we can take jokes, stuff like that. And
exactly. And that's part of the reason why I have the Discord. I think multiple times I've put in polls there for people to tell me how old they are, because I'm gauging that too. I want to know, like, what's the age ranges, right? Where am I hitting in at? Am I even touching the youth or penetrating the youth? And ultimately, I think the answer is like slightly no. I don't think I have really strong. My 18 to 24 is like 24 or 30% of where I'm at. The majority of my metric, I think, is like, what's the next one beyond that? 24 to 34 or something like that. 24 to 32, maybe. I think I could be wrong about that, but I think that's my biggest metric.
Ours is like 40-year-old feds with mustaches.
Yeah, I know. Well, I like your audience, man. I fit in with those guys. Come on. And what's his name? He might even be here in chat, Mr. Ninja.
Ninja.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, Ninja shaved his mustache. Traitor.
Yeah, I saw that. He looks like a working man now, family man, full on dad. But no, okay. Well, We'll move away from Tucker. One of the next things I did want to get into, because we already mentioned him a little bit, and I brought him up a little bit too, and I've not watched your episode with him yet, but it's on my to-do list. Tell me about Michael Spangler.
I like Michael Spangler a lot. He's very slow spoken, and when I do interviews with people, I try to match their energy a little bit. It just makes the conversation go a lot better. I thought that interview went extremely well. A lot of people watched it. A lot of people watched it because they started clipping it and throwing it on Twitter, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
So it goes pretty far. Michael Spangler is not afraid to say what he wants to say, and so it's a very. I guess what do you want to know about him? I mean, he's a pastor up there at Piedmont Presbyterian.
Where I would step in at, because I actually know very little about him, right? So I basically organize things by his accusers, because if you look up Michael Spangler, the first 20 results you get is someone accusing him of something. So I basically sorted it out by who's accusing him and was easily able to write off a bunch of them. It's like the same twinks who are screaming about, they need to be more women in the, in the pulpit, just like, man. But where I wanted to step in at, and it was something I picked up from one of your streams, which was Joel Webman recently put out like a 40-minute bit where he's talking about both Nick and Michael Spangler. But it sounded like the way you were describing it was that Joel Webman was moving to a pro-Nick position, but an anti-Spangler position. And I'm curious, what was his reasoning there, and why do you think it was?
So he did like a 40-minute video, and somebody asked him a question about Nick. And so he engaged that Nick question for like 10 minutes or so, and then spent the next 30 minutes addressing Michael Spangler's positions and Michael Spangler without actually addressing Spangler. So it struck it very odd to me. I hate to say this. I mean, I used to be very much a Joel Webman fan. No, maybe not very much. I've watched a lot of his stuff. Let's say that.
Okay.
And I wasn't anti, but he recently got a pickup from Riff TV, which is Elijah Schaefer's show, doing a show on theology.
Yeah.
He does good streams. From what I can tell, I like some of his other stuff that he's done with some of the Haunted Cosmos guys on like mythical creatures and
in the Nephilim
comparative mythology stuff. So, I mean, I enjoy that. I just haven't dove into it here on stream with Josh, but I guess the question
start
is
doing more content like that, like less day-to-day political.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about doing.
Well,
the
you got to
orbs.
quit, dude.
It's working on. I was gonna say, didn't mean to be disrespectful. I was on my phone
Atlas,
a little bit
if
in the
you
beginning,
quit,
but it was for
Josh
a job.
quits.
It was for a remote job that pays very well, which would
You're
be
fine,
very
brother.
nice to do this more full time.
You're fine. My chat's telling me I'm carrying this conversation anyway, so. I
don't even have chat pulled up right now. But yeah, I'm not sure what the dynamic is there. If we had to go back, I mean, this is a long drawn out process. If we have to go back, there was a couple of declarations that they put out. It kind of stems from Stephen Wolf's book too, where this rise of Christian nationalism came in. And I would attribute it to that, except that the book was released and then it took like 2 years to kind of gain the foothold. But they put out a declaration basically making all these claims of Christian nationalism, but one of the claims was something like ethnicity isn't race and it's only culture. And then he basically said that same thing in that podcast. And he's got two dudes to the right and the left of him that aren't white. And so that it's kind of like, why are you token non-whites on your podcast and then saying that Christian nationalism isn't about race, it's about ethnicity, and me and Clarence Thomas share an ethnicity? It's like, are you a subversive, or what's actually going on here? And so I think the issue is, and I would fault a lot of people on our side in this movement for not saying the thing blatantly, like not addressing it directly. It's a very much a skirting of the issue. And to say that race is nationality is like, I feel like that's a non-issue. So why make it one?
Well, that's odd because
and all that coincided with the Rift TV picking up and money flowing in from somewhere. So I haven't looked into it any further than what he posted on that podcast, and then just what's come up in the past.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not trying to bash on him. I just, I take things as they are. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll address it later. But what I've given you is what's actually happened so far. So.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. At least to me, Joel Edmond appears as like the guy who's like, he's unwilling to throw a punch. At least from what I see, he takes them, but I don't really see him.
He's throwing punches at Stonechoir. In that same window of Spangler and Rift TV, he was taking shots at Woe. So
interesting.
Take that what you will.
And so this must, because largely it's because Webben is unwilling to move to race realism. Is that like the big crux? And that seems insane, because that for me was easier to come to than a lot of other positions I have.
I would agree. I would completely agree. And so this is what me and Josh talk about on the show, not so much recently, but it's this question of what comes first, JQ or race realism? And I think the answer, at least in full, is race realism. I think it necessarily has to come before the JQ, because built within the JQ is the recognition of race, right?
Right.
The chosen people. Are they a different race, or are we all one human race, right? This is the same question that must be kind of dealt with, but we disagree on that. So
we don't necessarily disagree.
We disagree, Josh.
It's
meets Josh.
We were more disagreeing on which issue do we push further, because it'll be the easiest for people to digest. And I think that you're like, to your point, how that was kind of your first red pill was race realism.
Right.
This idea that like, the thing about race realism is, if you're a white guy, people kind of inherently know this at this point in time. Like your boomer grandpa, they could be convinced, but with everything going on now,
you just don't say it.
Yeah. Like, and this idea, it's like we have to, Stonechoir, Joel Webben, we got to be like biting at each other's heels about like what's the proper view of race. Honestly, like,
well, when you got a Timberland American sitting beside you, you kind of have to tell.
That's
I almost quoted that tweet because I have a pair of Timbs on my front porch.
You look like you wear Timberlands, Atlas.
Dude, okay, I'm a recovering wigger. You got to give me a few years.
I need a video of you throwing them in the trash. That's what I need.
That's fair. They need thrown away anyway. It's from my old pair. I don't know what the new ones I got are. I like the khaki boots, man. What can I say?
Get a pair of Georgia boots, man. Some waterproof zip ups, dude. Can't beat them.
I know. I need to get some jet black ones.
Brutes, Red Wing, something.
Well, and here's where I guess I would end into that, because I think I'm actually, even outside of both of those, I think the woman question would be the easiest to answer, and I think would be the easiest to answer, but I think it would ultimately help the other two. I think we even talked about this. Maybe it was off air. I can't remember. But there's a few people in my Discord as well that think the same thing, right? The WQ. And I guess maybe largely on the fact that if you remove the barriers of what preventing men from being men, I think you would get a lot more actionable stuff done. Maybe you disagree.
I mean, what more recognition of the woman question needs to happen? Like where is the hang up? I don't see any hang up. I think everybody's already there. The problem is we can't do anything about it.
Well, that is correct. And I guess maybe what I meant to say and articulate is, we know all the actionable things we can do. I can make a list for you right now, right? Dissolving family court, removing no-fault divorce, putting marriage as the institution back in the church. I mean, we could go down the list. It's just the fact
making
that
adultery death penalty. No,
yeah,
not kidding.
Bring back rods, really. As long as it's thicker in your wrist. No, but to me, it's like that could easily be done. It's just that there's clearly no conviction or willpower to do it in Republicans or conservatives. I mean, there's something I bring up all the time, largely because it partially has affected me, but because I'm very partial to Jeff Younger's story, which is, you're telling me there's a national event of a guy's child being trans, and conservatives still will not open their mouths about how one-sided family court is. I mean, at a certain point, you have to look and you have to go like, what? The hiccup can't be on morality. The hiccup has to be that these guys aren't actually conservative. Like, they don't have the actual hunger to go change that. And again, I always fall back to it. You know, I just, all I can see in my head is Matt Walsh going, and you know what? Women do need to shut their mouths. He goes home. His wife is like, we're not having sex for 3 months, Matt. You done fucked up. And he's like, no, please. Like, and obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but that's like what I imagine every time I see a Republican be a beta cuck and not move things in the right direction where we all know they need to be.
Well, and that's the thing about the woman question is it's like it's hard to address because we all, you're right, where it's like if we could just snap our fingers and we didn't have the race problem, women problem, or JQ, if we could just solve one of those and it was women, like it would be a domino effect and the rest would probably fall by the wayside. But in terms of like that problem is something that has always existed, no matter the culture, no matter the race, religion, creed. That's a problem that you really can't solve in the same tangible way you could solve the race realism. Like, you know, like, okay, Jews run our country. If they're not allowed to hold positions of power, they can live here, but they can't hold positions of power. Well, then you don't have that problem anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same way, if you just police fairly or even had a segregationist society, problem solved.
Yeah.
People have, men and women are designed to be together. They will be together. And I think that's one of those problems where like it has to be addressed, but the people that address it have to be willing, like either Nick, to just kind of say, I don't care if I never get married because of it, whatever, or are willing to take crap from their wives or marry women that agree, which are few and far between.
Yeah. Well, but two things to that. I kind of see Zeb's disagreement a little bit as I was saying that, which is maybe it would be easier to convince a woman to be racist than to like, you know, submit. So it's like, maybe you're right on that.
Easily.
Yeah, it's not hard at all, dude.
No, and you've already seen it, right?
We're a little biased because of where we are in the country.
Just tell them, hey, here's $20. Go buy something at Walmart. They'll come back racist.
Right. No, I mean, that's what works. That real my wife going to New India every time she needs cat food did wonders to her. You know, like, why am I in New Delhi? Press 8 for English. What were the first 7 options I had to listen to? I mean, I get it. You know, and I do get the fact that us, obviously, we've been fighting this for a long time, and it has ebbs and flows. Like, partly it seems like we're on the rise, and then at the same time, then Pearl Davis kind of disappears, and so, you know, maybe it is kind of not as worth our time as much to fight it. But that is the issue, you know, and I think that's kind of the direction. Like, what's the next step? Like, where are we going from here as a movement? You know, because one of two things I think is going to happen. YouTube is going to find some ground on something that Nick will do to say, oops, this gives us the right to actually go right back to 2020, you know, version of censorship. Everyone's nukes, get off our platform. Or it keeps going in the same direction, and by 2026, Con Inc. is irrelevant. Because you're already seeing it with Steven Crowder. Him and Gerald were had like a tweet storm earlier today. I'm done with Israel now, because it's like some other random AIPAC announcement. And they're like the edgy boys of Con Inc. So I kind of look to them a lot as like, when are we going to see changes? They're kind of like the canary in the coal mine, because like they're also kind of theater. I like Crowder, but I think he's just really fake and a theater kid. So when they start moving a bit more edgy, it kind of gives me the idea that they've gotten the signal elsewhere, and we're going to start sealing it, rippling through. You already saw a little bit with Charlie Kirk, but the question is, are they just placating until YouTube bans everybody and then they go back to where they're at?
Well, if I could say, the thing about, I would say with that is, this is a perfect example of how, like, the Jewish people are clearly a monolith. Like, after October 7th, your most ardent liberal Jew was gung-ho for killing all of Hamas. You know, like, look at Michael Rappaport, look at Dave Portnoy. So complete
Bethany
social
Mandel.
liberals. Yeah, exactly. And so basically, they are a spiritual monolith, but I don't think that every single one of them, they're not like connected at the brainstem and whatever. I think like Netanyahu himself is desperate and he's doing what he's gonna do.
No, boys.
And it's not like he's sending out a memo to all of the billionaire Jews to like get their feedback. He's just doing it and leaving it up to them to pick up the pieces on their end, which they are in. This is why, this is why you're kind of seeing this sort of pushback against a full annexation, because they're like, dude, we can't like maintain the support of the masses,
right?
Just because you went on the Nelk boys. You like, and you can't just get away with killing.
Right. That actually, yeah, they're over here like, bro, that actually harmed us. You have to put the plane back 3 more years now.
And they finally got a grasp on Rabbi Shmuley too. I mean,
that guy's insane.
They let these guys go, and it's I think it's Bobby Fischer that said he was posed the question of, well, it's not all Jews. Some of them are good Jews, and he says, well, where are the good Jews speaking out? And the guy says, well, they're not speaking out. They might not think it's that bad. And he says, well, then there's no good Jews. Right. And so this is what we're seeing. It's not that that Netanyahu is bad in their eyes, but it is bad when the optics are turned on them. And so when they're turned on them and they don't get anything out of it. Right. And so that's what I think we're seeing now. But they play against each other. Well, they play off of each other and against each other at the same time. Right. But going back to your Crowder position, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, at one point, Crowder had a massive following, and he did do that, but he doesn't have that anymore, right? He was kicked off of, well, I don't know, whatever he was on, and he doesn't command that attention that he used to anymore. And so I think Crowder is less of a canary in the coal mines, quote unquote, of Con Inc. and more of desperate, if you will.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for a canary in the coal mine, I would say Matt Walsh.
I think that's fair.
Man, I'm like on the opposite end of you.
Really?
I would have it flipped. Like, I think to me, I haven't.
You have to I mean, Crowder, I mean, you said he's theatrical. He is quite literally
theater
an
kid.
actor.
Right.
Like it doesn't get any more. I mean, maybe you could toss Alex Stein in there.
Well, have you ever met a man that went to theater school that you respected?
I don't know if I've ever met anyone that went to theater school.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So
we're in the middle of South Carolina, dude. There's not a theater school for 100 miles.
I forgot you are in the South. Never mind. I don't know. I mean, I've met one person that went to theater. I mean, very liberal. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, and maybe it's wrong of me, but I am a strong believer in physiognomy, right? When just being able to judge a lot of the way that somebody presents themselves, like the appearance, and I have a little bit of that, writing of that in No More Fat Nationalists, right? About the body being the ethos. And there's something about, and we'll go back to Matt Walsh. There's something about Matt Walsh in his presentation, in his demeanor, that makes me think he's playing a very good role. And I can't think of any specific kind of like tells that have made me think that, but that's kind of the vibe I get from him. Like he's a very good guy. Like he is doing very exceptionally well for like what he would want to accomplish, which I think is being able to direct the movement that he ultimately is not fully a part of. I do see what you're saying about Crowder being desperate though. Because I believe he's on Rumble now. I think he had to abandon his YouTube because it strikes.
Well, whenever he left, he started, because I'm pretty sure it was the Blaze. If it wasn't the Blaze, it's the same organization. They're all the same. What happened was they retained all of his...
Oh, the Blaze, that's right.
All of his email list, his contact list, the Mug Club was not his. Right? So whatever he started, Mug Club 2.0, whatever that is, whatever he calls it, is not the same. And so all of his contacts, right? This is what we need to build out. And you probably do too, is we need to build a website to collect emails and do the same thing through Discord and everything else. You emails aren't censorable, if you will, right? It's the same thing with like a Substack, right? This is why it's good to have emails, because if we get kicked off YouTube, we still have access to some of our subscribers. And so what they did was they didn't take it. It wasn't Crowder's to start with. And so he built all of this Mug Club empire that was then not accessible for him. And so he lost all of that. And so he tried to have a big major push on the back end of that to try and build that back up. And so it just didn't hit the numbers anywhere close to what he thought it would.
Guys, they're both feds. They're both feds.
Everybody's a fed except me. Everybody's a fed.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I just, regardless of the nuance, I think both of them are kind of playing their role, if you will. But that makes sense now, because I forgot he was a part of the Blaze. It makes sense then why he went, overboard with the contract negotiations of the Daily Wire, because he was probably unwilling to go through that process a second time, which would ultimately be what happened to both Brett Cooper and Candace Owens, which was they lost their TikToks. Well, no, Brett got hers back, but they lost their YouTubes, all of that, right? Daily Wire owns it. So Candace had to rebrand as, I forget what original channel was, but now it's just Candace, the new one that she has.
The same with Brett Cooper.
Yeah.
Right? When they sign these contracts, I mean, they leak the contracts, right? So we have an idea of what it looks like. Now, Crowder's would have been kind of catered to him a little bit more than like a typical, like bringing Brett Cooper on or even bringing Candace on, right? Bringing
the bigger player.
Crowder on is bringing on 5 employees and an entire production, whereas Candace and Brett Cooper would have been, or Matt Walsh or whoever else would have been, a singular person. Maybe they have 1 or 2 producers to bring on. But I mean, chat's talking about Rumble numbers and Crowder's last stream. What chat needs to understand is Rumble numbers aren't real. They just aren't real. I mean, they're fabrication of, hey, Rumble likes this person. They're partnered with Rumble. I'll throw the quartering under this. I'll throw even Nick on his Rumble. I'll throw some of the Crowder, all of them.
Yeah.
If you have a prominent name on Rumble, those numbers are boosted. They're just lying to you. Congratulations. The numbers aren't there.
I thought something was up when I noticed that they were starting to like publicize, because when you go to Rumble now, at least for me on my end, you can see certain streams where it's a bit public, where they're using Rumble Studio, and you can see how much the streams earned. And like some guy had like 11,000 hits and he made 55 cents. And I was like, either everybody clicked on and clicked off, or they're not real. It's fake. So he's not getting credited for all the bot ones that's, it's being used to inflate. But
let me ask you this. I mean, if I'm running a platform, let's call it Rumble.
Yeah.
And I want people to come to my platform. And it's not, I don't have great UI. I don't have great streaming services. I don't have great, really anything. I'm going to partner with brands, large brands that I can help boost my end and then boost their numbers, right? If the numbers aren't real, which they're not, you can still attribute those numbers to you, right? So if the quartering comes on the quartercast and he does a Rumble only stream and I'm pushing him, I don't know, maybe he gets 100,000 views, but I push him an extra 900. Now he's sitting at 1 million views. He can go out and say, hey, I'm doing 1 million views on my stream. Y'all need to come check us out. And everybody's like, oh, bandwagon effect. Oh, 1 million views. Or maybe I need to go check this out. And so then everybody funnels into Rumble, right? This is exclusivity. And so it's built in on their back end to do this, right? And so Rumble has partners that are different than kind of a YouTube or even a Twitch partner, where they build in the back end and then say, hey, here's some extra numbers.
Interesting. But it makes sense because they're, obviously competing with, what I think is ultimately probably undefeatable, which is YouTube. I think YouTube is going to be undefeatable for a long time.
Yes.
And
you can't, I mean, right now Google is undefeatable. I mean, and YouTube falls under that.
Right. I mean, it's like you look at like the watch hours compared to YouTube, even to Netflix. I think YouTube is out competing all streaming services combined, in terms of watch hours and content and engagement. And so obviously it's the place to be. So it matters a bit. And until they can improve the UI, I mean, that's part of the issue. A lot of these sites like Kick has better UI and it's been around for like half the amount of time Rumble's been around, and it's like,
what guy from India do you need to hire for like $100 to just get some like decent UI on there? It's always been my issue with Rumble is how poor it looks, and I don't like the dark green. But I do want to move on to another subject here, which was the entire instance of the FEMA aid coming out being yet another grain of sand in the heap that is Trump's law, which I don't know if you saw that viral post from a Templar, which is Trump's law. Trump will only do it if it benefits Israel. I mean, like it's getting so overt. And I even linked in Asher Logo's kind of assertion of what he thinks is going on, because I'm right there with him, which is ultimately like what we talked about a little bit, with the monolith that, their guys here, the jig is up and they don't have any way of figuring out how to get the jig back down. So they're basically just saying, just screw it. We'll destroy whatever credibility you have left, because at least Trump's got a good amount of it. We'll destroy whatever last bits left so we can continue to churn this machine until it grinds to a halt. Well, and that's just like, wow.
And that's my main critique, is obviously all three of us here, our audiences, we're all conspiracy theorists to some degree. And my main critique of full-blown conspiracy theorist is, like I said before on this very show, that everything is like carefully calculated and well thought out. I believe what you're seeing now, because the thing about the Chosen is they're very neurotic and they're very paranoid. And right. I think what you're seeing is they are starting, like, people are noticing. Your average person is noticing. And what does someone who's trying to keep a secret, what does a girlfriend who's cheating on you do when you catch them? They lash out. They don't carefully like go, okay, wait, calm down. Let's talk about this. It's a misunderstanding.
Are we still talking about Epstein?
Take it out on you. Yes. They take personal offense to the fact that you don't believe their lie. And so what do they do? They double down. And I think it's just a vicious pair where you get these Jews whispering in Donald Trump's ears, and he is this insane egotist, and basically, like, then you just get, all right, FEMA, yeah, we're not going to give you aid. And then when they get caught on it, I said this on our stream, they get caught and it's not even like, damn, man. Yeah, I mean, let's pull that one back. That's too much. No, they just switched it up. They won't even let you, they won't even retract that. You drowned in a hurricane, but your district, whatever magistrate doesn't support Israel, you're going to drown then. That's your problem, not mine.
Right. Well, it was worse than that. At first, I think it was Homeland Security tweeted, they're like, no, this isn't real. This isn't a real thing. Right. And they get community noted, and it's like, dude, the stealth edit on the archive is visible from 12 minutes ago. Like, I mean, and you're spot on, right? It's that they're just saying no. Hey, did you cheat on me? Like, who are you texting over there? I'm not texting anybody. That's, just basically the game we're playing. And I think it kind of falls into my latter kind of interpretation of the situation. I think there's an expectation. No, not even expectation. They know that the majority of people are dumb. And they also know the majority of people won't do anything either. And so I think they are playing with the fire a little bit, but ultimately with a strong belief that even if they know, they could be fully aware, they don't have the gall to do anything about it. So go ahead and do it. And that, I mean, to me, that is like, that means the American spirit has been defeated. It's gone. I mean, the American spirit is overcoming tyranny. Now, ultimately, obviously, me, you, and many other men are still trying to fight for it. But I think you can say at the national level, the American spirit's been extinguished. To go through this period of this Epstein debacle and then have it painted in front of your face over and over again, the connections between Mossad, the intelligence assets, all of these weird kind of shiftings of Donald Trump, the weird kind of lashing out like you had mentioned, and you go, the guys who built this country literally were willing to have their wives turn them into the loyalist over a 3% hike on tea. We may very well be getting ruled by people who abuse children at the behest of a foreign government, and we're going, well, I mean, like, can we at least get some deportations? It's like, whoa, it's like, to me, it angers me, but it's almost like there's almost no point being angry, because it's like, the anger I have should be with the guys who were at the guard 30 years ago. What were these guys doing? Just watching it all happen. And that's where a lot of my anger comes from. You just like watching people pour into your border, watching women just take their clothes off, and you just sat there and let it happen.
Well, I would say they were just enjoying it. And they didn't have the opportunity is not the right word, but they didn't have they were lost in luxury, if you will. And so that's the luxury that we don't have is single women own more homes than single men do right now, which is a crazy number to think about, right?
Right.
The highest employer in the nation right now is healthcare. I mean, who runs the healthcare system, right? This is women. So that's where a lot of these jobs are going. And it's not just that. I mean, it's everything on top of it with inflation and immigration. And it's like they didn't have to deal with these things because they were given the American dream. I mean, they didn't even have to work for it, but now they want to preach about telling us to pull up our bootstraps. And this is a problem. They were just given the things from their fathers. And so what have we gotten? Well, we gotten the product of good times, if you will.
Yeah.
And so they're a product of their, I mean, if I'll just finish this up with this thought is that they're a product of their time. And do I blame them? Yes, but not really. Would I prefer it another way? Obviously, but.
Well, I get it.
We can blame them. We can blame them now for at this point in time still not being able or willing to recognize the problems.
Give me the keys. Get out of the way.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's a big issue, right? What are they calling it? Like the manager crisis, I think is what it's being deemed. A lot of these people who are like 68 still holding these positions where a lot of these 40-year-olds should have been moved up into by now, but can't because you have this big class of old people who won't leave. You take in obviously generational wealth in there too. But I guess what, you're right. If I was happily married and I owned a home and I didn't have to worry about where my kid's college fund was going to come from, I probably wouldn't mind if, a brick went through my window every now and then. Like, well, at least I didn't die, but here we are where the average guy
the brick didn't go through the window though. They were, everything was compartmentalized. I mean, they didn't have little Somaliland in Minnesota. They didn't have Mumbai running New York City. They didn't have black mayors destroying the city of Atlanta. What's her stupid name? Fat face over there in Atlanta.
Crockett?
No, I don't know what her name is. Anyway,
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah, I mean that didn't exist. I mean, the closest thing you came was like Thomas Sowell writing a book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Until you had like the rise of like the 80s and early 90s, maybe you saw a few, and then it started to escalate even more in the 2000s. But by then they were, they're already 45, 50 years old, living out the dream that they have already built. And so there was no summer of love. There was no, you had the LA riots, but that was again, everything was compartmentalized. Right. And so nothing bled out. You had the ghettos, you had you had all of these larger cities, even most of the smaller cities were again compartmentalized into the projects, right? And in Dillon, you got Newtown and you got Jacksonville, and then you got everybody else. But the problem is now that some of the older houses in the white neighborhoods and nicer neighborhoods have kind of lost their value. They come into money, whether that's through insurance claims, fraud, whatever, or some lawsuit or whatever, however they come into money, and then they move into the neighborhood, and then the neighborhood moves out. And so everything else goes down in value. And it's this cycle of never ending, right? This is the rise of the suburbs in the late 50s all the way through the 2000s, is that they were just trying to get away from the downtowners.
Right. And well, I guess to add on to that would be like, isn't it kind of wild then to think that, what, Josh had mentioned, right? We can be mad at them now for not seeing, or not pitching into what's going on. But then I was thinking, doesn't that kind of speak to lived experiences, having, the left's lived experiences, having a strong, a very strong imprint onto who you are as a person. And the reason why I think that is because there's somebody who follows me, and I appreciate both of them, but he's older and he just he thinks the whole incel thing is a psyop. Like he can't even he can't even accept that men are involuntary celibate. He thinks it's all a big joke.
I think y'all were talking about incels a little earlier. I would like to counter both of y'all's positions. I'm not saying incels don't exist. I would say that a lot of times it's involuntary celibacy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right.
So
Guys,
they don't try, right? We don't socialize anymore because we have the internet. This is why alcohol consumption is crashing through the floor. It's because we don't go out anymore. We don't socialize. And so if we don't socialize, where are you going to find someone? Well, okay, there's Tinder. Well, Tinder is like churning milk, right? There's only so much butter in the milk that's going to get, that's going to come out of the churning. And so,
well, let me ask you this then. You can't use yourself, you can't use Josh, and you can't use me. You have a son, he needs marriage advice. Who do you send him to?
Who do I send him to?
Yeah, right. Like what YouTube channel can he go look up? Yeah, who can he follow? Like who's got the good, strong, robust, and comprehensive idea of marriage? Who's not a pastor he's got to go to church for?
I mean, I don't know if it exists, but in the same vein, I don't know if any good advice exists right now, to be honest with you.
Well, it's my channel like this. I don't know about
you. You can give him all the advice you want to, but
right. I mean,
if you like, just to call somebody out, like Protestia on Twitter. I mean, they were out there saying earlier today and yesterday, they were like, these young men need to start marrying these reformed prostitutes. It's like where did that come from? What kind of delusion do you live in, dude?
It's my favorite kind of Christianity. I mean, it's a joke, but the point
these people think that it just erases consequences. It's like, no.
Yeah. Right. Or that
I wish it were that way. Yes, but it's not. And so these people live in a similar delusion of trannies.
Right. Well, I get that. No, I agree with you there. My point would be there's no role models at all. I mean, if your options are like Ben Shapiro, Andrew Tate, because I'm talking about, think of it from the perspective of a kid, because we're thinking majority situations, right? So majority situations would imply there's no father in the home.
You know who Mark Driscoll is?
Yeah, I know Mark Driscoll. Yeah, pastor gets a lot of heat all the time.
I'll send it to Mark Driscoll, man.
Well, and Mark's pretty solid, but I think there is a level where you say, like, for me, you and Josh, we're going to be in our children's lives. But that's not the majority situation. The majority situation is broken home and dad's not there. So then they're already getting set off to a bad start because mom's telling them to go listen to Sesame Street for dating advice. And then when they're confused, they basically can only understand how to do it by their peers they're growing up with in school, who are probably getting influenced by the same people we brought up earlier, whether it's Andrew Tate or Zerka or somebody in that matrix. And so I guess, like, not to give an excuse for inceldom, but I can see how a lot of men immediately found their way there. They got swept
I just had
into it.
In my head. Let me toss this out here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking out loud here. The idea of inceldom implies premarital sex.
Yeah, true.
I don't like the framing.
Okay, but you know what he's talking about. He's talking.
I know what he's talking about.
I'll use myself. I don't
like
to
play word games.
This is a phenomenal non-sequitur. I gotta learn.
I'm a devout Christian. I'm 27 years old, and I've never had sex because I've had plenty of girlfriends, but I just haven't had sex because I value my faith.
So you're not an incel, though.
Sure, yeah, I'm a volcel or whatever you.
This is
voluntary celibate.
And again, like, it's the semantic things, but the issue we're not
I would say it's not
debating
semantics.
We're not debating the semantics. We're saying, what do you tell your kids when all women are retarded whores? What are you going to tell your son? And
Let's
like
go.
we talked about last time, and I thought about this a lot since we last spoke, but like, I knew it, but I never really like actualized it in my head till we talked about it, Atlas. But it is like, the church scene is almost worse than the bar scene, dude.
Right.
It's crazy.
No,
and
yeah. Go ahead. I want to cut you off. My bad, man.
Well, yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, dude, I have had, I've had a girlfriend that was a 10, easily.
Okay.
And she
Picture didn't happen.
She was, yeah, you wouldn't guess it, but like she was great. She was Christian, but you know, she wasn't perfect. She had like these little flaws. You know, she wasn't like an OnlyFans model, but she wasn't perfect. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I get it.
I have been rejected by 4s that go to church because I'm like a solid 6. You know what I mean?
No,
because
I get it.
the Christian women, they want Giga Chad, you know?
They
Right.
have unmeetable standards.
They yes.
But that's across the board. It don't matter if you found her in Walmart, you found her at Wendy's, dude. You found her at the top of the tower in Dubai, dude. It's the 666 thing. No, not to say all, because obviously there's a few, but mass generalization is still true. And then I think it's even worse from the church angle because they're sitting there telling these guys, you want to be a nice guy. You want to buy her flowers. Do what she asks you to do. It's like all of these things. It's like, you're going to get that guy, like he's going to walk in on that girl getting banged by another dude because the advice you're giving him. And that's what I think is bad. You know, you see it in schools as well. Girls just want flowers. It's like, really, dude? Why are we setting boys up for failure? And, you know, and I think obviously, you know, I don't want to take such a strong take against it. You know, how did I word it? I'm not a misogynist, but I am a sexist. That's not good.
I heard that in your intro.
Did you? Yeah, I got it from Joe Edmond, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. But I mean, but that's the point. It's the idea there would be that we are not instructing men on the actual biologies and the way women think. Women do not think when they see a man with flowers, they think, wow, sexy. I want to hook up with this guy. I want to marry this man. No, what women see in men is like when you're like throwing weight over your back and you're saving people and you got sweat on your chest, like, but they don't do that because that in the inverse is like also not PC to talk about, I guess, but maybe less so than other things. But it's bad, you know, churches, schools, basically any kind of basic institutional authority will push a man to failure, especially in the terms of sexual persuasion.
I mean, I would almost say that there is no good advice. It's so messed up right now, man, that if you don't hang on to some high school crush that you just hit the lottery with at some point right now, I mean, there's no winning, dude, at least in that realm. And so the question is, what do you do with like a couple million middle-aged guys with no life ahead of them and just got time in their hands with nothing to lose, dude?
You're going to get radicalism.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is it's like, I mean, you guys are both married and I'm still in this battle. And it's like literally the best advice I could give is you got to pray about it. You got to take it to God, man. Cause
yeah, in
terms of tangible advice, I mean, obviously there's things like don't be the coochie, I love you. You know, like don't be a biatch. I'm gonna PG up.
I'm gonna step away for 1 second real quick, but I would just add on top of that with the lonely guys with time and maybe a little bit of money. I mean, you do have people like me and Atlas that are married and we had this idea of a future for our children and we're willing to fight for it. I think that's what we're here for. And hopefully that pairing with each other, we can build something moving forward. I mean, you got Josh and Nick and you got me and Atlas. I mean, these are the kind of guys that I think we can work together on.
True.
I don't know how that works out, but I think there is a what's it, yin yang duality there.
Yeah, the duality of man.
Each other.
Yeah, well, I know you said you had to step away, but I was gonna, disagree.
Just a second.
You're good. I'll disagree with you to Josh. Because he says there's no good advice, but I completely disagree. You know, I think part of some of the first stuff that I was trying to target with my YouTube channel was to counteract the Matt Walshes of the world who are saying just get married. So I think that is retarded advice, and I think the advice should be don't do that. Don't rush in. And I think there is good spots for good advice. Like you had just said, right? You tell young men, obviously don't be gushy and overbearing, but also you don't want to step into the, the walkway where Andrew Tate is at, polygamy and going down that ladder. But when you have the majority of leading conservative voices and a lot of these, e-girl conservatives, are not even really conservative, pushing for a lot of these guys to just get married, right? Quote unquote. They end up with divorce. You end up with the family court situations. And so I do agree, because Nick had a solid 3-minute clip that I had, I don't know if I pulled it on air last solo stream, but his advice was very specific. And you got to listen to the whole 3 minutes, because that's how you have to tell a guy, because it's so nuanced now, because there's so many people saying all this BS, slinging mud, and it don't help. But he made a point, which is you should still get married. You should still want to get married. You should still desire and push to have a good marriage. But you have to understand, in the environment we're in, that decision cannot be taken lightly. In fact, it needs to be probably the most important decision you ever make in your entire life, and it needs to be treated as such. But which is a far cry from Matt Walsh, who goes, just get married. Like that's not what I would tell my son right now. If I was able to go, he's 18. No, brother. Like, if you get married in a year, right, I'm going to smack you over the head. It needs to be a very thought out and calculated decision, especially when you know all of the risks that could come with that, right? Losing access to children. Your child can be taken to California and castrated if you're not careful. All of these things can happen that it's not worth it. Because to be quite honest, I think Jeff Younger's put in the biblical position where he might even need to break the law here soon. And that's not even for me to promote something.
Already been there, to be honest with you.
Oh,
what's
yeah,
that?
dude. I would have kidnapped my kid and
I would already
taken him to China or something. Better off there.
I caught most of that. I guess let me say that this is a topic that I've avoided actively. I don't do relationship advice. Why? Because I'm apathetic. I've never have been. If I was tasked with going out and finding a wife right now, I probably couldn't do it. Okay. I've never been romantic, dated, playboy type. So
you could have fooled me.
I don't know. I actively avoid it because I don't know what the answer is, and I get the feeling that I get the idea that you're trying to push, and maybe this is something I need to dwell on and pray about and try to think through. And I think about people like Myron and Andrew Tate and those guys, and I think they are correct in their assessment. I just don't think they're correct in their solution. And like I said a second ago, I don't know what the actual solution is. It's a minefield. And so I think Myron actively avoids it also. He just does it in a different way, right? He says, polygamy for me, but you can do monogamy if you want to. And I think that's a cop-out.
And I would agree with that too. And I think Myron, the way he carries himself, obviously doesn't honor God. And I think that's a walk he still needs to make. And I think he's going to get there. I think he's a smart guy. What I would say though would be, my bad, Josh, 1 second, I'll get this, I'll let you go, would be the fact that the number one thing, if you can compare anything historically, for when you can go, a man fought his hardest was this, is usually exemplified by the fact that he can pull out a Kodak photo of the woman he's fighting for. And that's why I treat it with such a high level of intensity, is because, like, if we don't have a lot of men in our pews and in our nation that are willing to fight for something stronger than them, greater than them, then ultimately, like, we're not. I mean, I think that's the battle we have to fight the most, because we need more men like you and me, right? And I think the only way to really get that is to provide them a path of which we can lay a framework of, say, hey, you can get married and have children like us. This is what you need to strive for. Because I'll tell you what, if I wasn't married, I'd have an extra burden on my plate thinking about what my future was like. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to settle down? You remove that major kind of burden out of the way, you get settled down, your life becomes a lot more clear of what you need to do as a man and as a father. And that's why I think there's a lot of, like, at least for me, I put a lot of importance on it.
So what would, I completely agree with you, because I mean, that's a situation I am currently in and it weighs on me. You know what I mean? You're exactly right. So what would be some advice that you have for young men, especially like, forget me for a second, like young men in high school, like, that are just starting to take this idea of marriage seriously, or just leaving high school, where would you direct them? Where would you direct your son?
I think one of the first things I would probably try to do would be to get them to understand that what someone says to you doesn't mean they believe what they said. And I think that's a lot of engaging with women, is taking everything they say at face value for exactly what it was. And that's a thought, you see a lot of areas where men struggle is they don't pick up the hints from women. They can't tell because women are, they're a bit more kind of, conceited, hold their cards closer to their chest. But I would also go a secondary angle, and we might even cover this a little bit too, but I think Zerka is spot on this. And Zerka, I think it's for as as vulgar as he is, he's got some pretty strong romantic takes. I'll go from that. And I think the one that he nailed out of the park was the fact that I think men have it wrong, and they don't need to be chasing conservative women, right? Don't be chasing the woman who's got the American flag, who's posting pictures every day of her in her booty shorts and cowboy boots. Go after the actual girl on the left, because for two reasons. One, I think a lot of the girls, well, it's just two reasons. I think one of the girls on the right are ultimately manipulative. They're actually the end form. They're the end evolutionary goal of feminism, which is they hide that they're feminist. They're literal predators. They're like, oh, I'm not a feminist, and then literally do everything that would be feminist right after that. The girls on the left believe it not because they want to use it to their advantage, but they believe it how the left normally believes things, which is to the truest extent because they believe it in their heart. But if you prove them wrong, they'll flip over. And you see a very common thread for a lot of these girls. And there's one that went viral, which the girl was like, well, when I met with the guy I'm with now, it knocked the feminism out of me. And there's a lot of guys in our Discord who've been married. Me and Donnie, I don't want to, blast them, but we both have the similar situations where our marriages are extremely strong from the fact that we did get involved with a girl who was far left leaning or lefty or liberal, and instrumentally exhibited time and time again, here's why you're wrong, let me show you the way. And having that many opportunities to be a leader and show and articulate an intelligent thought to someone who's got to learn from you, over time, that builds a very strong kind of trust relationship. So that'd be two things I would say. Obviously, I understand it's not easy by any means. And I do agree with, at some extent, with Zeb, where there is I don't know what you do. There's a level of the situation's very out of control. I guess I'm more so in a position where I'm on the Titanic and I'm like, I'll save as many people as I can. The boat's still going down, but I'll try to save as many as I can.
I will say this about Zeb's take is I agree with you, where I think we should be taking an active role in helping out young men navigate this ever-changing world of relationships and whatnot, because it is absolutely necessary. Like you said, knowing what you're fighting for, having a sense of the home. Someone like Nick, he has that sense without those things, but most people don't. And having this sense of responsibility that only having a family can provide to most people is absolutely necessary. And strangely, I agree with you, but I completely understand Zeb's idea, where it's he's so far removed from that world at this point, married, 33 years old, married to his high school sweetheart, that he doesn't have any tangible experience that would be necessary today, and doesn't want to lead men astray.
19 years, dude. I'm 19, 18 and a half years removed or something like that. 2006.
Yeah. Right. So you'd be telling guys dude, get her a couple of quarters and get her a Hot Wheel, dude. She'll love it. No, it's it ain't like that no more. But I'm beginning to feel the same too. I'm getting there now. I think for me, it's about 6 going on 7 years that I've been removed. And so I even said this one of the last times where it's moving so quickly, and that's part of the digital environment as well. But I guess you still have to hold that light out there, because you got to imagine for most of these guys, if they have to look at what you had said, right? This 4 at church who's denying them, that just makes you angry. And then Grok spicy mode drops and you only got to pay $4.99. It's I can get at least 100 girls with Grok spicy mode. I don't have to deal with
is crazy,
with
dude.
Sally, but it's sad. But that's why I think you can't back out of the fight completely. And at the very minimum, even if it's not one of us going like, well, here's an answer, it's like, let's find someone who we can point them to, and let's start propping that person up. And that's where my kind of mindset would be at for that.
Yeah, I'm fat.
We're doing some fancy camera while you got some food, dude. I'm starving too. I wish I would have got something.
Let me since we're on this topic, let me throw this out there. Have you kept up with any of the conservative e-girl drama on Twitter over the last like 2 days?
Yeah, I have that on the outline. I was curious if you guys seen it too.
Sarah Stock stuff.
Yeah, brutal.
So
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
What a cat fight.
Fill me in. What happened?
Yeah, you want to explain it, Zim, or you want me to?
You go ahead. I'll fill in the holes if there are any.
Okay, because you might know a bit better. So basically, what you end up getting is Sarah Stock posts a picture of her engagement photo of just her hand, and it's like a cornfield or something. And then this spurns multiple of the other e-girls in the right wing to attack her for the most part. So Pearl Davis came out with an attack, attacked her because the husband wasn't in the photo. Emily Saves America attacked her for, I can't remember what she attacked her for. It was the ring size.
I can't stand that chick.
Me either.
If I can't, dude.
Okay.
I cannot stand that chick. Go ahead, sorry.
So you want to know what's funny? I saw
Rip.
the Sarah Stock photo on Beardson's Twitter, and I thought
Yeah, he said congrats.
Beardson got engaged, you know. So I didn't realize that's what that was. I should have known because it was Beardson.
Yeah, he was just making fun of her. Yeah. But I will say, Beardson's getting on my nerves, man. I think he's funny.
He's been getting on my nerves.
But I think he's ultimately like, he's the person where it's like, I don't want you to be the representative of the movement, because he will actively drive people away. I think he's funny, but especially on those kind of lines too with Sarah, like Sarah gets a pass because she only ever talks female issues. And Rachel Wilson did a great job highlighting this, where she doesn't talk about like male issues largely. I do get ultimately the fact that she should be in a kitchen and not on air giving her takes. But I do kind of get a little bit of Rachel Wilson going like, for the time being, we do need women to also speak to these ideals to get them to get back into the kitchen. So I was kind of unsure where you might be on that. You know, are you a Sarah Stock enjoyer, or you think she should go home?
She should go home.
Me or Josh? Josh said she should go home.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's not the worst thing in the world. And Rachel Wilson, like with her, it's like, I think you get a husband and a wife on a stream and she is, like at least at face value subservient and whatever. That is in a way, I think, I don't know for certain, but I think there is some value in that, because when you see a man just saying a woman should be subservient, well, what are women going to see? They're going to see the sexist. And when women do that, other women don't agree. Like that's one of the big red pills, is like you get like sexist women that are on camera being sexist. They're there to attract dudes, not women.
Right.
It's like when you go to the gym to get a good bod, and who does it attract? Like other guys there trying to get a good bod. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, yeah, exactly. So the point being is, like, I think you see a husband and a wife in agreement on this. That might probably the best e-girl possibility variation.
I agree.
I would agree with Josh.
That's a first.
Well,
I mean, I'm not a fan across the board, but I mean, if we're gonna have to have one, she's not the end of the world, though. She does. She was promoting miscegenation like less than a month ago. So
Sarah Stock?
Yeah, it was like 3 months ago.
I just think, Rachel Wilson's
even Sarah Stock, dude, no e-girls ever. But the problem is they're going to exist because simps exist, right? I mean, she's promoting miscegenation, then she's attacking Pearl Davis for being a misogynist, and then you got Emily jumping in, and she's accusing everybody of being whatever, but she's the one sleeping around with all the Con Inc. Husbands. And then you got who else jumped in there? I mean, they were all in there. Ariel,
it was Isabella DeLuca.
Ariel Morgan was in
Morgan
there.
Ariel.
She's a single mom. I mean, the only person I think didn't jump in there was probably like Lily Gaddis.
Right. And a lot of people, they're getting some chats in there. They're skeptical about her, but I've always thought had a good, it's going to be hard to say. I've had a good feeling about her, that she's not just a pure e-girl, especially given on what she blew up from. Is she going to be good for the movement? Probably only if she stops saying the N-word every chance she gets. Right? She just drops it. That's like her number one.
But she can't though, right?
It's
like Hawk Tua fell through because she'll never say Hawk Tua again. You know, that's just the nature. That's just the nature of what it got.
Not because she rug pulled.
People, yeah, she rug pulled, and now she does showings, and anytime she's asked to do the Hawk Tua, she's like, no, I'm not going to say it. It's like, what are you even doing here then?
Right.
And so the same thing applies to literally everyone. And this is why Myron still does relationship advice, right? That's how he built his brand, and he will have to continue doing that. And in the same vein, where Lily Gaddis is going to have to drop M-bombs every once in a while. It's the nature of.
Come on, it's in the contract. I mean, it's true. I mean, you're right.
Must say in every week, once a week minimum.
You're contractually obligated to one end tower a week.
Fine $10,000 if not.
Four A's and 2 hard R's a week. That's your obligation.
You have a quota. All right, guys, I got to rip them real quick. Let me get in there. No,
yeah. She's like, at the end of the week, she's like, oh, I forgot.
Just rips him up real quick. I mean, but that's again indicative of the whole thing, right? You know, this whole e-girl thing. It's just never e-girls.
You want to buy it, Josh?
No, but it looks good, dude. That stuff looks good. Makes me. I got like a sandwich from Food Lion before I came here, and he's got a wife cooking him nice chicken.
Chad's giving me a hard time for eating.
That's funny.
Listen, dude. She texted me. She was like, "Okay, I just finished. It's hot and ready. You want me to bring it to you?" I was like, "Nah, I'll get in a little bit." And I started thinking about it. I was like, "Dude, I didn't eat lunch today. I'm hungry. Atlas might judge me. Chat might judge me, but
I ain't judging,
dude. Let me go ahead and get some good food.
I ain't judging at all. I'm on like my 8th energy drink.
Rookie numbers. Stuff.
It's a bad habit. Trust me, I got to start walking them down. No, it's only my 2nd one. I'm not even halfway done. What was another thing? Hold on. I wanted to go another area too, because we are getting close to the end. We only got like 10 minutes before I have to bounce.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what is with Owen Benjamin calling Nick gay constantly?
Dude, okay, so I've tuned Owen out for like ever. I don't know how anybody listens to him anymore.
Same, dude. He's cringe. I want to like him, dude, but he's so cringe.
He did a Tim Dillon bit yesterday. Did you see that?
I did not see that. I saw the clip. I have it bookmarked, but I've not seen it yet.
I didn't watch all of it because it's just hard to watch. Owen's just hard to watch to me. And so I watched a little bit of it. Terrible impression. Josh could do a much better Tim Dillon impression. He's doing a Tim Dillon impression right now. So, you know, it is what it is.
Bastard.
That's funny.
Where's the sunglasses? Fat, chubby, gay guy. You know?
Yeah. It's like, you're fat and gay. I'm like, first off, I'm not fat.
Yeah, that's the one that bothered me.
I'm not fat.
Well, it's like the beginning of that Nick clip where he's like, and then Tucker called me a gay kid. And what did he say? He was like, and I am all of those things. Well,
yeah,
okay.
Tucker's right, except for that one thing.
Yeah, right. That part got me good. I was cracking up. But I mean, he's been, and this is kind of seemingly the angle, right? If you don't have anything on Nick, what are you going to do? He's gay. This is like the next level beyond he's a Fed. The Fed, I can actually hear some arguments out about. But Owen Benjamin now, like this Jaden McNeil kid, there's a few others I can probably think of, dude. Like it is all they do, all the clips they make are just talking. And I can understand not liking Nick because he's a bit racy or because he's like, he makes you feel uncomfortable. Sure, fine. I'm not a pussy, but the whole thing with the Owen Benjamin stuff is like, dude, and I had the same thought you did. Who watches this shit? I'm not spend 13 minutes listening to Owen Benjamin make half-assed jokes about why Nick is gay. It's like, this is zero substance. And it just sounds like a guy who's envious or like angry, right? Just jealous. For what reason?
Let me give you a little idea of insight on why I got into this is in the future, social credit or social capital is going to be more valuable than dollar bills. Owen Benjamin has built his social capital. He will never be able to like lose that. you may lose some stale subscribers every once in a while, but Owen Benjamin is, for all intents and purposes, a celebrity, right? And so if you hit 100,000 subs, your channel can go, you could not post for a couple of years and you come back and you still have that 100,000 subs, right? It's going to maintain itself. It's going to continue to exist. And this is largely, maybe not largely, but it's a reason I got into this, is to build a presence. It's going to be leverageable, right? You say you have 100,000, you can sell ads to that 100,000. In 4 years, you can sell ads to that same 100,000, right? Then this is kind of how you build. I think in the future, this is going to be very, very, very heavily leveraged for profit. So
yeah,
that's just out there. That kind of gives you an idea of why Owen's still present, why people are still watching, because he just has that following that will.
I get that. So he's just always going to have some kind of like remnant of prominence. That's like, even though nobody really watches him, the reason why you see numbers is because everybody's like, why'd I get a notification? Oh, Owen Benjamin, and they're just coming back to it, clicking on, probably clicking off. We do have like 10 minutes left. I want to turn it over to anybody in chat. I know there was a couple of super chats that came in. I'm going to see if I can grab those real quick. But any questions you guys have for Outside the Overton, or even for me, go ahead and let them fly. Make sure you put
is Donnie in chat? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you good. Yeah, Donnie should be in chat still.
Donnie.
But let me grab this here. Let me find this.
I threw it midstream early. I don't know if he caught it. It was a super chat.
I do see some of these here. Sorry, it's taking me a second to grab them.
You're good. If I remember, Donnie asked what side my mustache or my ancestors or my mustache fought on the Civil War or something like that.
Oh, that's right.
Like for that one.
Yeah, what side of the Civil War did Zeb fight on? Did your mustache fight on?
Yeah, almost all of my ancestors were in the South. I mean, we can trace back to like 30 miles from here for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 generations.
We got Punish Mav said that 304's absolutely seething that Sarah is off the market. Then he also followed up. He said, race creates cultures, not the other way around.
Correct.
Agreed.
Well, I made a tweet a while back, and it's not, I mean, it's obviously not, it's a little tongue in cheek, but it goes, what did I say? Personality is genetic. Personality at scale is culture. Culture is genetic, or genetics dictate culture, or something to that effect. And so obviously it's not 100% across the board, but there's a flow there that makes sense, right? If I take Haitians and I give them democracy, guess what? They're still Haitians eating sand cookies.
Right.
Mud cookies. Don't be racist.
Oh, sorry, mud cookies. Dried mud cookies.
Wait, what do they make them out of? They like take dirt. It's like mud and salt. Is that what it is?
Well, they can't farm like corn and soybeans and stuff like that, so they farm literal mud because it doesn't take maintenance. They literally mix dirt and water, and they strain some of the heavier, some of the larger, coarser grains out, and then they slap it on the floor in a cookie shape and let it dry and eat it for sustenance because they need to fill their bellies, because they literally killed all of the colonizers.
And it's wild because it's like it's all the land is able to be grown crops, right? They even have, it's even like they don't even have like half their harbors or ports set up. Like they're not even fishing. It's like even some of the more basic stuff, even pre-farming is even being done. And then
it used to be a haven, man. But then the white man,
Man, they put tariffs on the machine, man. They keeping us down, man. Y'all just gotta leave.
Yeah, and so they killed the whites, all the colonists, and then they started wearing their uniforms and not doing the things like maintaining. Right, this is the same thing that's happening with Mr. Beast. He just came out, I think today, saying $1 gives clean water to one African for like a year or something crazy like that. And it's like, dude, you've already planted, or you've already given them like 1,000 wells or something like that. None of them work. Why? And I was reading something earlier today where Maybe not Mr. Beast, but some of the other times that they've gone over there, dug wells and left them to be maintained by the people there. They take the scrap metal, or they take the metal from the wells, they pull it out and turn it and take it to scrap. And then you have leftover holes in the ground that they then use. And everybody was getting sick because they were throwing dung and poop and everything in there. And
dude, that's ridiculous.
I mean, these people need help to exist. And so giving them something for free just creates cargo cults, and not colonizing them, not doing it for them, basically. I mean, you have to babysit them. It just is what it is.
Well, it makes
that's
it
not
worse.
me being mean. That's just history.
Well, it's like every well that's added, you just guaranteed for 10 more years, they're still not going to ever be accountable or learn from themselves. They're going to rip off of your backbone. It looks good. Well, I guess one thing that I think is funny too. What's your over under for a fourth dildo to be thrown on the court of a WNBA game? You got an over under for it?
Oh, dog, we'll get like 12 by the end of the season. I don't even know how many games they play.
Isn't it said, there's more betting volume for the dildo to be thrown than there is for any of the betting on any of the actual games?
I believe it, dude. I believe it. It's a joke, man.
The timeline we're in, dude, I didn't expect. This isn't what Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh were preparing me for, man. Like, I had a whole different idea in my head, growing up of what we were going to do.
You thought the Antichrist would be here by now. Maybe that would be better.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess back then I thought, at some point, Israel's going to come and save us.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen to Glenn Beck, raining manna in wherever he's from in Mormon land.
I know.
So when Josh does his radio show in the morning, when he helps, Glenn Beck comes on afterwards, and so I'll listen to a little bit of Glenn Beck, dude. Dude's stuck in like 2012, dog. Like these people, these boomers on radio they're just so out of touch with what's actually going on, dude.
Blaze TV's not doing too hot, man.
Say again.
Blaze TV's not doing too hot. I looked at some of like the recent pundits they have there, and it's like all people I can't stand. It's like, well, give it a couple years. Glenn Beck will probably be by himself. Everyone else probably have to get fired or find contract work with somebody else to get, work for them.
Well, it's the same thing with the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire's having money troubles right now. I mean, they don't have that. I don't know how they don't have that Jewish backing that they used to have, but when you spend $100 million on Pendragon Cycle, which is a TV show that nobody cares about, and even if they do care about it, you got a 2-year turnaround, and so that's economy. But
didn't Glenn Beck cry because they denied his citizenship request to be an Israeli?
Yeah,
he wanted dual citizenship.
I don't know. You're the Glenn Beck expert.
I tune him out. Like,
no, he did. He was upset.
Cried.
Yeah,
that's bananas, dude. Glenn Beck is the reason why the Jews are screwing up now, because they hear Glenn Beck, and because he's so popular, they think that's like, it's like, this is what everyone thinks. They worship us, and why wouldn't they? And then when they find out, oh, they don't, it's kill them.
They're like, Glenn, like you're supposed to be holding it down over here, dude. They hate us here. Like, what were you telling them? But
yeah, dude, some of the quote where he's like, yeah, like it was the stuff recently about the famine. You know how there's a famine going on.
Yeah,
and he had some guest on and the guy, they were basically like, oh, what do we believe, Hamas now? Like, great,
dude. The best part was when Charlie Kirk's like, I'm really tired of being lied to and being propagandized. Mr. Rabbi from Israel 365, can you tell me what's going on?
Dude, I tried to react to that video, and it was like an hour long of the rabbi just talking. I was like,
yeah,
what is going on, dude?
I had to watch it.
Is this the rabbi show? Yeah, we couldn't fast forward it.
You had to watch it in real time.
Dude, that's actual torture, dude. I can't watch things in one time speed anymore. It has to be 125 minimum. There's too many people to listen
I think
to.
the problem is if you listen to a Jewish person for that long at that speed, you start to hear the second voice of Satan. You know, it's
Yeah.
like playing the
You're
rock
like, I
record
can't speak in
backwards.
tongues.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, though, we did hit the 2-hour mark, and I have to wrap it up because I do have to take care of my daughter. Unfortunately, I don't really. No, I'm just kidding. Is there anything you guys wanted to say or bring up or shout out before we go ahead and wind it down?
Go ahead, Josh. Let me swallow.
That's what
Well,
she said.
if you haven't already, come check out our channel. We're Outside the Overton, and appreciate you, Atlas, for having us on again. And we're gonna get you on soon, I believe. We're doing a lot of collaborations recently. We want to have you on. You were kind enough to call into our call-in show on Thursday, which you're welcome to do tomorrow. But we do want to have like an official AtlasThugged on Outside the Overton soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely game for it. And that was my bad too. I guess I just had assumed I was going to host it again, and that was one thing I didn't. We should have talked about beforehand because we should probably go back and forth to be even.
No worries, dudes. We got plenty of time. I promise you, we got plenty of time.
That is true.
He does.
No, I mean, congratulations on your growth too.
I appreciate
where
it.
you at, like almost 11K now? I mean, last time we talked, you were like 8. So
I know. I'm hoping that the growth can stay and I can maintain it. What's cool is I looked myself up on Social Blade the other day, and it was like, this guy's got a 14% chance to go make it viral this year. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
nice, dude.
But it's just a made up number, probably. So that probably has no actual meaning.
I mean, some of your videos have put up like 100K, hadn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is surprising. I got to be honest.
What's viral? I mean, if you're sitting at you were probably at 5K at the time. I mean, 100K views. I would classify that as viral.
I'll take that. I'm trying to just be humble too, and not everybody can be Nick and get away with it. You know what I mean? But I do want to say I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been a pleasure, and plenty more of this to come in the future as well. I got to get a better schedule down. Because I'm everywhere. I'm doing streaming, I'm doing the videos, so I got to get a more fine-tuned schedule. But as I get more full-time with YouTube and have to worry less about actually working a stable job, I'll get more in tune with things and get more consistent. But no, and thank you guys for coming on. The link for your guys' stuff is in the description. Both your X accounts and the link to your YouTube channel is in there, Zeb. I don't know if I put yours in there, Josh. I think I put yours in the post. So if people want to find Josh,
we're probably going to do some type of conversion here.
Yeah,
here
we're talking about assimilating it into like one channel.
Yeah, I was assuming you would, so that's why I grabbed Zeb's.
Yeah. I would just say follow that up with thank you for the inspiration for the new video segment. I like to steal things, and so that's what I stole.
Yeah, of course.
Stole it, making it my own.
Happy to help. And as always, everybody, Christ is King. I appreciate you guys all for being here. And all the super chats as well too, especially any ones that I might not have mentioned. I appreciate it tremendously. Obviously I'm trying to get the hang of things and I'm an amateur, but on that note, deport Cash Patel, Christ is King, save this country, put women back in the kitchen, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody. What's good, everybody? This is AtlasThugged. As much as we have, it's currently a media blackout right now. It's about a 10-minute video here. Get the libertarians out of this party, dude. Part of a new series I'm going to be running called Bot or Not.
I grew up as a white man, and you're the exact opposite,
It's time we have a difficult conversation about race.
40 IQ points it needs to think about what is being told to you.
Most people are just blatantly apathetic to what goes on around in their surroundings, let alone this play.
A trans woman's penis make you gay.
Can I define to answer that comment?
The dating market is for men your age.
I'm not a misogynist. I'm a sexist.
Right. Like for example, as a white man, I can go out and I could go right here in Columbus and scream the N-word as loud as I wanted to because I have that privilege. Those who would sacrifice a little freedom for a little convenience serves neither.
Titan says, Browns should be for whites. We were just trying to help them. them run a better empire.
Truth. But she's straight up, she's like, stock market. She's like, bro, like, I can't even buy a fucking house. Like,
and you know, it probably doesn't help that half the comments are, "Oh, you're not banned on YouTube." Man, how is this guy? How's this guy not banned on YouTube? It's like, yeah, I'm sure YouTube probably picks up on those things, and they're probably wondering why so many people are saying that, you know.
and all these top brass pundits who have some kind of association or relationship with Epstein, you know, it's getting to the point where you got to think like I'm about to go look at my residential history and be like, did I live next to Epstein for like some time? Like, man, everyone on this planet must have some relation to Epstein. And then you go, oh, actually, no. This is because the administration is all wrapped in together with it themselves.
And I said this maybe about a year ago. You know, what if Christianity wasn't in such a cucked position that what if Andrew Tate, like Tristan, would have went to a Christian position? Fell for it again award, #1 right here. And you know what? I can't even make fun of the audience because I fell for it too. And that's probably what I'm most pissed about. He's huffing some extreme copium. Oh yeah, sister, you definitely owned him. Hey, can I see you after tonight? You know, it's like that's that's what you're competing up against, because or bad jacketing him and calling him a weird little gay.
Is this like alt-right corpse husband? What am I listening
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. This guy's gonna get into statistics, stuff like that.
Oh no, statistics. Not
So-
we don't do statistics.